So today we're going to talk about a system and process of taking 5 actions that is sure to help you lose weight over the next few months, just like I did. Dropping from a general weight of about 82, 81 kilograms down to 72, 73. In this video, we're going to go through those 5 actions that you can start to implement into your daily life immediately. And those actions are going to help you get into this weight loss mentality and begin to lose weight progressively in your daily life in the coming months. Ultimately, I think the biggest value you're going to take away from this video is not just the weight loss that comes with taking these actions, but the element of control that comes with taking these actions, such that you feel way more in control of your weight loss journey, and you can control your weight up and down as your journey progresses. And the outcome and result of that is just going to be way less anxiety around your weight loss journey and how you feel around decisions you make around food, and less daily worry, because ultimately you understand what you're doing and you can decide whether you eat or don't eat certain foods. And the things I'm sharing are honestly the things I followed in order to get to where I am today and lose that weight that I'd been carrying around for a few years that I'd lost intermittently. And let's be real, guys, weight loss is important. We largely start weight loss journeys from an aesthetic perspective. Maybe we want to lose weight, look better, feel more confident. But there's a huge amount of negative health outcomes that are tied to being overweight. So this is a really important video for you. I want to deliver it calmly, succinctly, so you don't feel that overwhelm, that pressure, or even really motivated after this video and that drops off after a little while. So I hope you stick around for the whole of it, because these actions are the actions I took myself and I ended up losing the weight just like I told you. And I'm a fitness and weight loss coach, guys. So if you want to learn more about me, please go and check out my website, and you can sign up to my 21-day health series that's going to help you start your journey. So just as we get into action 1 on this list, I just want to say to you guys, there's no guilt in feeling overweight, and that guilty feeling is not useful. I'm a health, weight loss, fitness, nutrition coach, and I also help people getting back into exercise from burnout. But I actually carried around about 5 kg more than I should have for a number of years, just because it was hiding beneath a bit of bulk and muscle. So don't feel guilty, and let's dive straight into the first action. First one is either to stop eating breakfast, or more likely just delay it. Initially, there are so many benefits to not eating that first meal of the day, and not just because it extends that fast you enter into when you go to sleep, but by not giving your body work to do, digestive work in the morning, your focus and productivity tends to improve too. The reason I say delay that meal rather than skip it in the beginning is because in the beginning, I don't want you to think about cutting calories and cutting food out of your diet, even though this is a weight loss video. In the beginning, it's important you don't begin to feel really hungry later in the evening because you cut out a meal and you didn't really know how that was going to feel. But just by shifting your breakfast a little bit later in the day will start to prime your body so that it gets used to burning fat for fuel and not just glucose and other things you put into your belly in the morning. So if you're going to do this, one protocol I might follow in the morning if you find it difficult to skip that first meal is to either have a coffee. It could be a black coffee, it can have a little bit of milk, it doesn't really matter, but you're not eating a full-on meal. Or you could do an activity, go to the gym, etc. Because if you don't overblow what you're doing in the gym, then you're not going to have these hunger cravings, because often a workout, especially a kind of neutral, not excessive workout, tends to suppress our appetite. So that's our first action, and it's a lazy action because it requires doing nothing. And if you think about it, think about those dishes, especially if you work from home in the morning, you're going to save. But like I said, shift that meal a little bit later in the day, because I don't want you necessarily cutting away from calories right now. You may do that as you progress your journey. Number 2 on this list is another nice lazy one, and I hope you'll like it, which is to start to weigh yourself in the morning. And I think it's useful to cover now that we want this to be a mentally healthy action, and you want to be doing this while you're on this weight loss journey. That might be 2 months, that might be 3 months. There is a point in time where you don't want to progressively be weighing yourself every single day, and I don't want you to get attached to that number. That number on the scales is not a number that you're looking at to judge you, to gauge what happened and feel bad about yourself and all these other things. That number on the scales is just to understand what you weigh today, and one of the key aspects of weighing yourself is to weigh yourself at the same time every day with the same number of clothes on. And I suggest you just get down into your underwear and weigh yourself, because that's what I do and that's the easiest way. It's important you weigh yourself at the same time every day, because little things like having a meal is going to increase your weight. That's also if you ate a little bit later the day before, then your bowel movements in the morning might be a little bit less. And again, you're going to be carrying that weight. So don't get too attached to this number on the scales. It is information. It is not just telling us about our weight. It might tell us a little bit about our water retention. We may have eaten more salt the day before, or if you're a woman, you may be on your menstrual cycle, and that's going to affect your weight, and it's got nothing to do with fat loss. So start to weigh yourself in the morning. And again, this is just a data point, something to understand. It's a bit of a way of gauging all the other actions you take on throughout the day. So it is a measuring tool. It is not a judgment tool. And by taking this weight in the morning, you start to program into your head that at this particular time in your weight loss journey, this is important, and you're going to be focusing on things that affect it. Like I said, guys, I am a health, fitness, nutrition coach that help people lose weight and also help get back into exercise following things like burnout. If you want to learn more about me, please go check out my website. And I really do encourage you to sign up to the 21-day starter series. I've had really good feedback and I've written it from my heart myself. So please go and check it out and sign up there. It's totally free. So number 3 is to eat similar meals at regular times throughout the day. So if you go with number 1, you might shift your first meal of the day to 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. That means you may have entered into a little bit of an intermittent fast, but that first meal of the day, you just want it to be the same thing for many reasons. One of them being, if you're on a weight loss journey, you're probably going to have to start thinking about measuring calories. And if you're eating different things every single day, it's just going to be an absolute nightmare to measure your calorie intake. And on top of that, you're going to add more stress, more anxiety, more to do, and that's where people just start to fall off this journey. The other reason, if you minimize decision fatigue and just eat the same meals or similar meals at the same time every day, you are just reducing that resistance that you have on this weight loss journey, and it's going to make sure you progressively lose weight and stay on track, just like I said at the start of this video. The other reason you want to eat at these times is actually just to regulate your nervous system nicely. If your body knows it's going to get a meal at 12, 3, maybe 6, and dinner at whatever time, then it begins to predict these things and you feel less stressed throughout the day and your body begins to trust you more. And that's a big important part of weight loss, is just to build trust and not to have your nervous system highly regulated at the top, because losing weight, depending on how you're doing it, can be quite stressful for the body. So you want to give it some structure, and by having structure, you also enter into some consistent actions, which is only going to be good for your weight loss journey. Finally, we talked about weighing yourself every day, and the timing of food will it actually impact your weight the next day in the morning. Say, for instance, you eat a meal at 12 o'clock at night. Well, that's probably going to be sitting around in your gut and you won't pass it in the morning if you go to the bathroom in the morning. Whereas if you eat a regular meal, it's more likely that in the morning you're going to be weighing yourself under the same conditions. Number 4, you're probably wondering why this one I didn't get to sooner, but it's because people really focus on this one too much, and it's quite a highly stressful thing potentially on the way that you go about it. But we're going to come at it here, not in a stressful way, and that's to understand your calories in and your calories out. To understand your calories out, it's really easy. And this is to understand what is your calorie need. And you can go on a website like tdeecalculator.net and just find out what that number is. You need to understand this is just an estimate for a whole bunch of reasons I'm not going to go into this video. But it's really difficult to measure your calories in accurately, and it's just as equally hard to measure your calories out for things like metabolism, your gender, your age. And we are all biologically different. So don't get too attached to the number, but it's a nice place to start. The other thing I'm going to loop this in with is when you weigh yourself, weighing yourself is also a good estimate if you're under eating or overeating over your calories, because if you overeat, you're going to store that in the form of fat. And if you undereat, you're going to lose some weight. Don't try and undereat too much so that you lose weight too rapidly, because it's going to be too stressful for your nervous system. eventually you will come off this weight loss journey. You'll eat whatever you want. Your brain will just be calling out for food all the time, and it's not going to be a pleasant journey. The second part of this is the harder part, which is understanding calories in. And I recommend you do this with a calorie tracker. It's going to mean a little bit more discipline in terms of potentially weighing your food. These calorie trackers are actually really great and have some really good features on scanning barcode apps and make it quite easy to input your food. But this, without a doubt, is going to be one of the more challenging parts of your weight loss. I've recorded a separate video, I'm going to link here, on which calorie tracking app you may want to choose and the one that I use. I also coach people to track their calories in a group, which you can sign up to on my website if you'd like to do this as part of a community. But just understand, this is probably going to be the more difficult bit. And if you follow the last point on eating regular meals at the same time, again, this kind of connects. It's going to make that process of tracking your calories far easier, because you're not going to have to pick new foods every day. And if you eat the same way, then you may not have to measure them every single day, because you may just know and memorize what that number is. I think the other thing I want to cover here is calorie in, calorie out. People get so bent out of shape on it and then really start to be super strict on their diet and try and cut their calories. Understand calorie deficits, which I talk about in another video you can watch here. But the reality is, let's quickly cover calorie deficits. If you want to lose a kilogram a week, which I don't suggest, I'm not going to give you the number, you think about losing half a kilogram a week. And that's running a deficit of 500 calories a day, which can be reasonably challenging. In this section of calories in out, I want you to focus on eating more satisfying foods that make you feel full up. So don't demonize fats because they make you feel full. And you're going to get an idea of how calorie rich they are because you're now tracking your calories. And think about eating proteins too, because they make you feel full. If you're thinking about cutting 500 calories a day, then that's what you're going to do. But initially, I would honestly say don't focus too much on that number and get an understanding of your calorie intake. Eating highly satiating foods like proteins and fats, and I'm telling you, that weight loss is just going to come. The other thing is, when we start a weight loss journey and we start to track calories in, calories out, we end up restricting things like our social engagement, meeting friends, etc. And what I said at the beginning of this video is that as you do this journey, you're going to become far more in control of what you eat, how you feel about it, and how it impacts your weight. And you are now in control. And I would suggest to you that you don't give up social engagements with friends and just make potentially slightly healthier choices when you're there, rather than just cutting out social engagement as well. So don't try and sacrifice one aspect of well-being for the other, because it's really not that easy, because our social engagements are incredibly important to us. But that's not an excuse to go out boozing and drinking. Try and make them healthier, make healthier decisions, but don't get too hung up on eating exactly the same way all the time if it's going to rob you of some other good aspects of your life. Number 5 is to be more active. At the end of the day, when we're active, we go to the gym. It doesn't have to be a HIIT or a heavy workout that you are exhausted in. In fact, on a weight loss journey, I suggest you don't partake in them more than once a week, because that exhaustion is just going to drive cravings, feelings of tiredness, and you need energy to go through a nutrition journey and just to feel good. And that's what ultimately this is about. But I do encourage you to exercise and make sure you move. Try to put in some resistance exercises into that, because moving gives you feel-good hormones in the form of endorphins and cannabinoids. So you just naturally feel good. And if you feel good, you're going to eat good, because you're not going to try to resolve some of that emotional eating that a lot of us do and get from our food. So you're going to feel better and you're going to burn more calories. So when it comes to a calorie deficit, you may not even have to run one, because you are now more active and you're burning 500 or 600 calories in a workout every day or every other day that you don't have to get from your diet anymore. And guess what's great about that? The fact that it comes with these good feelings as well. Whereas when you cut calories just using your diet, actually it doesn't come with great feelings immediately, but I can guarantee you it feels better down the road. And the other one that we're going to kind of loop into number 5 is just to sleep better. So these are 2 actions. One is just to be more active, and I suggest you do this more earlier on in the day so it doesn't affect your sleep. And the sleep is to try to get a decent amount of sleep so that you feel rested. And that's between 7 to 8 hours normally. People seem to think that they can survive on less sleep, but we are really poor judges of how much sleep we need. So try getting a little bit more. And the reason sleep is so important is because one, you are fasted when you are sleeping. When we tend to stay up later, we tend to consume more calories. And science tells us that when we're more sleep deprived, we make poorer choices and we tend to consume at least 200 more calories. Those 5 actions, I can say to you honestly, have held me in such good stead. And I have lost 10 kilograms roughly in a progressive way over the last few months. I'm not giving you my exact timeline because that's not important. The last thing I want to say is weight loss is really not linear. So in some weeks, you might get it wrong where you lose more than half a kilogram a week. And then in some weeks or on some consecutive days, you may put a little bit of weight back on. And that is literally a part of the journey. You are learning how your weight fluctuates with your intake, your activities, and what you are doing. So don't think about weight loss as this linear thing of losing exactly half a kilogram every week, which is the number I gave you. There might be weeks where you lose a kilogram and then you think, wow, that's great. You may do it for another week. But again, you don't want to consecutively be losing a kilogram a week because that's going to catch up with you. And at the same time, it's okay if your weight fluctuates up a little bit because that's a part of the learning journey and you're going to get more control over it. In the future, it's going to fill you with less anxiety because you'll know on those days where you slightly overeat or you go out on a social and you let yourself be a little bit more indulgent than usual, you'll know the weighing scale is going to give you a higher number the next day. And that's not always the case anyways, because sometimes when we're relaxed, in a good mood, enjoying ourselves, but not eating too unhealthily, we affect our metabolism, our digestion in totally other ways that we can't calculate and predict. So just relax and go on this journey. And I can guarantee you're going to lose weight progressively if you do this in a smart, controlled way. One of the most powerful elements, if not the most powerful part of this journey for me, was understanding and tracking my calories. And you can learn more about which app I used in this video here. And I'm going to record a future tutorial on how to do this, which if you sign up to my newsletter, you'll hear about. And equally at the same time, subscribe here and look out for it in the future. And I'll see you in the next video I put out. Thank you for watching.